My beloved listener, pause your breath for a moment and listen carefully. This is not coincidence. This is not another video you clicked by accident. This moment was arranged. Something unseen has been moving around you, watching quietly, waiting for the right opening. And tonight, that silence is broken. You were not meant to feel restless before opening this. You were not meant to hesitate. The urgency you felt was real, because there is a truth that could no longer stay hidden, and it concerns someone very close to your daily life. Not a stranger, not a distant figure, someone whose presence feels normal, too normal. You have sensed it before, that strange heaviness when their name appears, that subtle discomfort you could never explain. You told yourself you were imagining things. You tried to be kind. You tried to ignore it, but awareness has a way of knocking louder when ignored. Listen slowly now. There has been a quiet conflict around you, not with noise, not with chaos, but with intentions. Smiles that didn't match the heart. Words that sounded supportive but carried another meaning underneath. You were protected from seeing it fully until now, because timing matters. And now is the time. This message is not here to frighten you. It is here to awaken you. There is a person who has been speaking your name when you were not present. A person who knows details about you that you never gave permission to share. A person who studies your reactions, your emotions, your weaknesses, not to help you, but to benefit themselves. Their interest is not your peace. Their interest is control. And here is what makes this moment powerful. Their cover has already begun to slip. You may have noticed small changes recently. A sentence that didn't make sense. A reaction that felt exaggerated. A sudden coldness where warmth once existed. These are not random shifts. These are signs of exposure. When hidden motives begin to surface, behavior changes. You are not alone in this realization. You are not imagining patterns. Your intuition has been trained by experience, and it has been whispering to you for a long time. Tonight, that whisper becomes clear direction. Now listen closely to this part. The identity you are about to understand is not revealed through gossip, not through confrontation, not through force. It is revealed through observation, through calm awareness, through silence. Because the more still you become, the more obvious they become. This person thrives when you doubt yourself. They weaken when you become steady. They expected you to stay unaware. They expected you to keep trusting. They expected time to be on their side. But something shifted. The balance changed. And now, you are being shown what you need to know, not all at once, but step by step, so you remain safe, clear, and grounded. You may be wondering why this is happening now. Because you are about to move forward in your life. Because something good is approaching you. Because clarity always arrives before elevation. Nothing that is meant to rise is left unguarded. Pay attention to who reacts strangely when you succeed. Pay attention to who grows distant when you are calm. Pay attention to who asks questions that feel unnecessary. The name will become clear, not because it is spoken out loud here, but because recognition is stronger than words. When you hear it, something inside you will settle. Not with fear, but with understanding. And understanding is power. Do not rush. Do not confront. Do not explain yourself. Awareness alone begins the shift. The moment you stop feeding confusion, clarity takes over. Stay with this message. What comes next will connect the final dots you've been sensing all along. Listen gently now, because what unfolds next is not loud, yet it is life-changing. What you are receiving is not pressure. It is permission. Permission to finally rest from the confusion you've been carrying silently. There is something deeply important you must understand. The presence of hidden opposition in your life does not mean you are weak. It means you matter. It means your light has been noticed. Nothing valuable moves forward without resistance appearing quietly first. You have spent nights questioning yourself, wondering why certain relationships felt draining instead of uplifting, wondering why kindness was sometimes met with distance, wondering why your heart felt heavy even when nothing obvious was wrong. That confusion was not your failure. It was information waiting to be decoded. Here is the revelation most people never hear in time. Not everyone who stays close to you is meant to walk with you. Some stay close to study you. Some stay close to measure you. Some stay close because your growth exposes what they refuse to confront within themselves. And yet, this message is not about fear. It is about relief. Because the moment truth is revealed, confusion loses its grip. You were never abandoned. Even in moments when you felt unseen protection was working in your favor. Doors closed that would have harmed you later. Conversations shifted that would have misled you. Delays occurred that actually preserved your peace. The love surrounding you has always been greater than the intentions against you. Now hear this clearly. The person whose energy feels unsettled around you cannot touch what they do not understand. And they do not understand your depth, your resilience, or the quiet strength forming inside you right now. This message brings healing because it restores trust, not blind trust in people, but grounded trust in purpose. It reminds you that love does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it protects silently. Sometimes it guides through discomfort. Sometimes it removes people without explaining why. And that is mercy. If you have felt lonely, know this: loneliness does not mean lack of love. It often means preparation. You were being separated from confusion so clarity could finally speak. Right now, something unseen is settling your heart. That is not imagination. That is alignment. A quiet reassurance that you are not late, not forgotten, and not alone. Let this understanding sink deep. Let it heal the parts of you that questioned your worth. Let it remind you that you are held, watched over, and guided, even when answers arrive slowly. Stay present. What comes next will connect the emotional truth with the identity you are beginning to recognize. Stay with me, because this is the turning point, the place where confusion transforms into recognition. What you are about to understand has been forming quietly in your life for a long time, waiting for the moment you were strong enough to receive it without fear. There is a reason your heart has been learning stillness. There is a reason certain attachments felt heavier instead of warmer. You were being trained to sense truth without noise, to recognize sincerity without words, to feel intention before action. Here is the truth many never realize. People reveal themselves not when you confront them, but when you stop needing their approval. The person connected to this message did not expect you to grow this aware. They relied on your kindness. They assumed your patience meant unawareness. They mistook your silence for ignorance. But silence was your strength. Observation was your shield. You may notice now that when you no longer seek validation, their behavior becomes unpredictable. Their tone shifts. Their interest fades. Their presence feels unsettled. This is not coincidence. It is exposure. And here is where healing begins. The realization of hidden intention does not harden your heart, it frees it. It releases you from self-blame. It restores trust in your inner guidance. It explains why certain efforts felt one-sided, why certain conversations drained you, why peace returned when distance appeared. You were never meant to carry the weight of someone else's unresolved struggle. The love surrounding you has always been real. It simply arrived through protection instead of attention, through redirection instead of applause, through quiet alignment instead of loud promises. Right now, something inside you is shifting from question to clarity, from confusion to calm certainty. This is what awakening feels like. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, but steady and grounding. And understand this deeply: once truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. You do not need to act differently. You only need to see clearly. Awareness changes the entire dynamic without confrontation, without conflict, without explanation. You are being guided into a season where relationships are purified, where connections align naturally, where love feels safe again, not because people change, but because you choose clarity over assumption. Let this part settle into you. The next part will bring the final confirmation you've been waiting for, the recognition that completes the picture you've been sensing all along. Stay here. Do not rush past this moment, because what is being revealed now completes what your heart has already begun to understand. There comes a point in every journey where truth no longer arrives as information, but as peace. You stop searching. You stop questioning. You simply know. That is the space you are entering now. The clarity you feel is not coincidence. It is confirmation. The identity you were meant to recognize was never meant to shock you with drama. It was meant to settle you with certainty. That quiet realization you feel right now, the one that makes everything suddenly make sense, that is the answer you were waiting for. You are beginning to see how protection worked in your favor without you asking. How certain situations never went as planned, not to disappoint you, but to preserve you. How certain people slowly lost access to you, not through conflict, but through distance. That distance was intentional. Love does not always announce itself. Sometimes it shields. Sometimes it redirects. Sometimes it removes what smiles at you but does not stand with you. And here is the most powerful truth of all. Once awareness arrives, nothing hidden can continue to operate around you. Not because you confront it, but because it no longer has permission. You are stepping into a phase where peace becomes your standard, where confusion no longer lives rent-free in your thoughts, where your intuition feels sharper, calmer, and more reliable than ever before. If you felt unseen before, understand this now: you were never overlooked. You were being guided quietly, prepared gently, strengthened inwardly. What unfolds next in your life will feel lighter. Relationships will feel clearer. Decisions will feel steadier. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Let this message rest in you. Let it heal the parts that doubted themselves. Let it remind you that you are surrounded by purpose, covered by care, and aligned with truth. You are deeply loved. You are never alone. And everything that needed to be revealed has now been brought into the light, exactly at the right moment. Remain still for this final movement, because what happens here is not an ending, it is a release. The kind that loosens what has been tight inside you for far too long. There is a moment when the heart stops bracing itself, when it no longer waits for the next confusion, the next disappointment, the next unanswered question. That moment is arriving now. You are not being asked to carry suspicion forward. You are being invited to carry wisdom. There is a difference. Suspicion drains. Wisdom steadies. And you are stepping into steadiness. The truth that surfaced was not meant to follow you like a shadow. It was meant to pass through you like light, revealing, then moving on. What remains is clarity, calm, confidence that you can trust what you sense without fear of being wrong. Notice how your breathing feels right now. Slower, deeper. That is not accident. That is alignment. When the inner conflict ends, the body follows. You no longer need to replay conversations. You no longer need to analyze reactions. You no longer need to wonder who truly cares. The answer has already rearranged itself around you. The right connections feel easier. The draining ones lose their grip. This is not loss. This is refinement. You were never meant to live guarded. You were meant to live aware. And awareness does something powerful. It restores your capacity to love without fear, to connect without anxiety, To move forward without constantly looking back. What unfolds next will feel surprisingly gentle. Opportunities will arrive without force. Peace will show up without explanation. You will notice that what once unsettled you can no longer disturb your balance. This is how healing completes itself. Not with noise, but with quiet certainty. Carry this knowing forward. Let it inform your choices without hardening your heart. Let it protect your peace without isolating you. Let it remind you that you are supported in ways you may never fully see, but always feel. Everything that needed to be revealed has served its purpose. And now, you are free to move ahead, lighter, clearer, and deeply at peace. Stay present, because this part is where strength quietly takes its final form. Not the kind of strength that resists, but the kind that knows when to move forward without carrying the past. There is a sacred shift that happens after clarity. It is the moment you realize you no longer need to prove what you know. You no longer need confirmation from others. You no longer need to wait for permission to trust yourself. That shift is happening now. You may feel a subtle confidence rising, calm, unforced, steady. It does not rush you. It does not pressure you. It simply stands with you. This is what alignment feels like when it settles in. The season you are entering is different from what you have known. You are not being tested anymore. You are being established. The lessons that once repeated themselves have completed their work. What returns now is peace with purpose. Here is the revelation many overlook. When truth is revealed, your path becomes lighter not because everything becomes easy, but because nothing confuses you anymore. You know where to place your energy. You know when to pause. You know when to step forward. That clarity is protection. Notice how certain worries no longer pull at you the way they used to. Notice how the need to explain yourself has faded. Notice how your inner voice feels clearer, firmer, kinder. These are signs of healing that lasts. You are learning to recognize love by how it feels, not by how it sounds. By consistency, not intensity. By peace, not pressure. This discernment will guide you safely from here forward. What is unfolding around you now is not random. It is the result of inner alignment meeting the right moment. You were prepared quietly, patiently, thoroughly. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was wasted. And here is what matters most. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what is coming next. Carry this steadiness with you. Let it shape your decisions gently. Let it protect your heart without closing it. Let it remind you that growth does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply arrives and stays. Remain here, grounded and aware. What you are becoming is stronger than anything that once tried to unsettle you. Stay with this final passage, because what happens here is not a conclusion, it is a sealing. A quiet certainty that settles into you and stays. There is a moment when the heart realizes it no longer needs to be on guard. When it understands that clarity has already done its work. You may feel it now, a gentle assurance, steady and unshaken, telling you that you are safe to move forward. This is where purpose becomes personal. Everything you experienced was not random. Every pause, every delay, every unanswered question shaped your discernment. You were not being deprived. You were being refined. What once felt like confusion was actually preparation unfolding in silence. Now you see differently. You recognize sincerity without effort. You sense alignment without analysis. You feel peace without needing proof. This is the reward of awareness, the ability to move through life without carrying unnecessary weight. Here is the truth that anchors everything you have heard. Love has never left you. It simply changed its form. Sometimes it protected you by removing noise. Sometimes it guided you by slowing your steps. Sometimes it spoke through stillness when words would have distracted you. You were never walking alone. The clarity you carry now will shape your future gently. It will draw the right connections naturally. It will allow joy to return without fear. It will help you trust the unfolding of your life without needing to control every detail. This is what healing looks like when it completes its cycle. Calm, grounded, certain. Let this understanding stay with you. Let it remind you that you are guided even when you cannot see the path ahead. Let it reassure you that what is meant for you moves toward you with perfect timing. Nothing essential has been missed. Nothing meaningful has been lost. Everything that needed to be revealed has already done its work. You can move forward now, with clarity in your mind, peace in your heart, and quiet confidence in every step you take. Remain here a little longer, because this moment is not meant to pass quickly. What you are feeling now is not emotion alone, it is recognition. The kind that reaches places words rarely touch. There is a quiet strength that forms when you finally understand that nothing was wasted. Not the waiting, not the confusion, not even the moments when you felt alone in a room full of people. Every experience shaped your awareness, and awareness has brought you here. You are no longer asking who truly cares. You are beginning to feel it. Love has been surrounding you in ways that did not demand your attention, did not ask for applause, did not require proof. It stayed, it held, it guarded, and that changes everything. The heart heals fastest when it realizes it was never abandoned, only redirected. You were guided away from noise so you could hear truth. You were separated from confusion so peace could recognize you. You were slowed down so alignment could catch up. That is divine order. Right now, something unseen is settling your spirit. The heaviness you carried without a name is lifting. The questions that followed you quietly are losing their grip. This is what clarity feels like when it becomes permanent. You do not need to chase reassurance anymore. You do not need to overthink connections. You do not need to test love to see if it stays. What is real no longer requires effort to maintain. You are learning to rest in certainty. From this point forward, you will notice how easily your life begins to organize itself. Decisions feel simpler. Boundaries feel natural. Peace feels familiar. This is not coincidence. It is alignment responding to awareness. Hold this truth close. You are deeply loved, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. That love has been present in every quiet rescue, every unseen protection, every gentle redirection. Stay attentive, because this part carries a truth that settles deep and stays with you long after the words fade. There is a moment when the soul realizes it no longer needs answers to feel secure. That moment is arriving now. You are not searching anymore, you are recognizing. And recognition brings a calm that nothing external can disturb. What you have walked through was not meant to weaken you. It was meant to teach you how to stand without leaning on uncertainty. You learned how to listen inwardly. You learned how to pause before reacting. You learned how to trust what feels steady instead of what feels loud. That is growth. The unseen love around you has been consistent, even when people were not. It did not rush you. It did not pressure you. It stayed patient while you learned your own strength. That love protected you when explanations were unavailable. It guided you when clarity seemed delayed. And now, you feel the result. Your heart is no longer crowded. Your thoughts are no longer racing. You are beginning to experience peace as a baseline, not a temporary feeling. This is the outcome of alignment, when your inner world finally matches truth. You may notice that things no longer pull at you the way they once did. Old worries lose their urgency. Old doubts lose their voice. What remains is a quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of moving forward without fear. What lies ahead will not demand struggle to arrive. It will recognize you the way you recognize it, naturally, gently, at the right moment. You are no longer chasing what is meant for you. You are ready to receive it. Let this understanding settle fully. Let it remind you that you were never lost, only guided slowly. That you were never unprotected, only prepared. That you were never alone, only learning how to feel the love that surrounded you all along. Remain steady. Remain open. The peace you feel now is not temporary. It is the foundation for everything that comes next. Stay with this final unfolding, because this is where everything you have heard settles into truth you can live from. There is a rare moment when the heart stops asking, "What if?" and begins saying, "Now I understand." That moment is not dramatic. It is steady. It feels like standing on solid ground after a long crossing. This is that ground. You did not come this far just to feel calm for a moment. You came this far to become unshakable in clarity. What you now carry is not information, it is discernment. You know the difference between noise and guidance, between attention and care, between presence and loyalty. This knowing did not arrive overnight. It was shaped slowly, through experience, patience, and quiet endurance. And that matters, because from here forward, your life begins to respond differently to you. When you are clear, confusion loses its place. When you are steady, disruption fades. When you trust your inner awareness, the right path recognizes you. You may notice that peace now follows you instead of you chasing it. That is not chance. That is alignment. It means you have stopped resisting what you already knew and started honoring it. This is how healing becomes permanent. You no longer need to revisit old questions. You no longer need to reopen old wounds to understand them. They have already taught you what they came to teach. And now, they release you. What unfolds next will feel lighter not because life becomes perfect, but because you move through it without inner conflict. Decisions will feel cleaner. Connections will feel safer. Joy will feel allowed. Remember this moment, not as an ending, but as a foundation. The place where clarity replaced doubt, where peace replaced confusion, where awareness replaced fear. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into understanding. Carry this forward. Let it guide you quietly. Let it remind you that you are supported even when nothing is said out loud. That you are loved in ways deeper than words. That you are walking exactly where you are meant to walk. And from this place of calm certainty, everything ahead meets you with purpose. Remain here for this next unfolding, because this part is meant to settle something deep inside you that words rarely reach. There is a quiet realization forming now, and it is this: you were never broken for feeling deeply. You were never weak for trusting. You were never wrong for hoping. Those qualities did not harm you, they revealed where care was needed. And now, that care has arrived. You may notice a strange calm in your thoughts, as if something that once argued inside you has finally gone silent. That silence is not emptiness. It is resolution. It is the sound of understanding taking its rightful place. What you have gained through this journey is discernment without bitterness, strength without hardness, awareness without fear. That balance is rare, and it is precious. There was a time when you felt you had to hold yourself together, when you carried emotions quietly so others would not notice the weight, when you questioned whether anyone truly saw your effort, your loyalty, your heart. That season shaped you, but it does not define you anymore. You are no longer surviving clarity, you are living from it. The love surrounding you now feels different because you are different. You recognize sincerity faster. You feel peace sooner. You release tension without explanation. This is growth that does not need validation. And here is something important to hold on to. When you stop questioning your worth, the world stops testing it. When you stop chasing reassurance, reassurance arrives naturally through peace. You are not being pushed forward. You are being guided gently. What comes next will not overwhelm you. It will fit you. It will align with the steadiness you now carry. Let this understanding stay with you. Let it remind you that you are not alone in any moment, even the quiet ones. That care surrounds you in ways you may never see, but always feel. You are deeply valued. You are carefully guided. And you are exactly where clarity needed you to be. Stay grounded in this truth. It will continue to protect you, long after this moment passes. Stay with this moment, because this part completes a circle you did not know was open. There is a deep truth settling into you now, and it is this: clarity is not something you chase, it is something that arrives when you are ready to stop doubting yourself. That readiness has been growing inside you quietly, patiently, faithfully. You have crossed an invisible threshold. What once felt uncertain no longer holds power over you. What once caused hesitation now feels distant. You are no longer asking life to explain itself to you. You are understanding it as it unfolds. This is where trust transforms. You are beginning to trust your timing, your instincts, your inner sense of direction. You no longer feel rushed to decide or pressured to respond. Stillness has become your strength, not your delay. And that stillness reveals something beautiful. You are supported even when nothing obvious is happening. The love surrounding you does not always arrive as reassurance. Sometimes it arrives as restraint. Sometimes as patience. Sometimes as a quiet inner voice saying, "Wait," when everything else urges you to hurry. That guidance has protected you more times than you can count. Now you see it. You are not here by accident. You did not hear this message by chance. Your awareness has been sharpened for a reason, to help you move forward without fear, without confusion, without carrying old weight. The future opening before you does not require you to become someone else. It simply requires you to remain who you have become, aware, grounded, and open. You are allowed to feel hopeful again. You are allowed to expect goodness without anxiety. You are allowed to rest in the knowing that what is meant for you recognizes you without struggle. Let this part settle fully. Let it close what no longer needs revisiting. Let it anchor you in the quiet confidence that you are guided, valued, and deeply cared for. From this place, everything ahead unfolds with purpose, and you are ready